and wings. And we also had the Fleetwood Mac here on 102.3 WHTL in Whitehall, Wisconsin. It is 11 o'clock, time for the open house with Hanson Real Estate Group.
It's time for the open house on WHTL.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent?
You're joking, right? I don't joke about real estate.
With the Hanson Real Estate Group.
I never understood why people are so afraid to eat at an open house.
I know.
The open house starts right now.
And it does every Wednesday here on 102.3 WHTL. We talk a little bit of real estate, and today we're glad to welcome Josh Baecker into the studio. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
Good, you?
Not bad. It's starting to warm up just a little bit.
It's trying.
We can handle that. I don't mind that. I'm ready for spring. I don't know about you.
I'm ready as well. I think pretty much everybody is.
And, we're not out of the woods yet. You think that this time of the year, winter's pretty much on the way out. I remember some late April, early May snowstorms that were pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. I remember I got pictures in my phone. I think it was May 3rd one year, a few years ago, where we got a bunch of snow. I mean, it never sticks around long this time of year, but it's still not out of the question.
No, and then once the trees start blooming, it gets to be a real pain because it can break branches because it's so heavy. It can do all kinds of stuff. But
yeah, I was just talking to a classmate of mine. They had a pretty bad ice storm over in Wausau.
Did they really?
And up to, I think it was 1.5 inches of ice they had on tree limbs, and it was just snapping stuff all over the place.
Wow.
It can be nasty out there. We're not out of the woods yet, so to speak.
I remember years ago when I was probably about your age. I'm an old guy, but I remember years ago when I was about your age, I lived in Oklahoma City, and they get a lot of ice storms down there. And I remember one time we had this ice storm. I swear there had to be 1.5 inches or 2 inches of ice on my car. It took me 3 days to get into my car.
Wow.
I know. It was crazy. Of course, nobody ever did anything. Nobody went anywhere because, they don't handle that well down there. But
and I haven't seen anything like that yet. That would be crazy.
It was crazy. Interesting topic today. Maintaining your home so that its value stays up. I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the correlation there. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so as you own a home, obviously, things wear out. There's wear and tear items. Nothing lasts forever, and especially if it's something that you use quite a bit. And it's just your typical day-to-day operations as well, cleaning up a few things. These things cost money and take time, so I get that they can get overlooked. I'm just as guilty of it as anybody, but in the end, in the long run, especially if you're looking to sell your house, it can make a difference on the value and how people value your home when they're looking at it.
Kind of like the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you do a little bit of preventive work on the front end, it can mean a whole lot on the back end.
Exactly.
Now, what are some of the things that people should do as far as upgrades and maintenance if they're thinking about selling their property to get the top dollar?
Well, obviously, your big items are going to be your home appliances, your roof, your siding, your windows, for an essential air if you have them, or well and septic if you live out in the country. Those are big things that are usually addressed whenever they go out. But
now, I have a question about that. Let's say that, I've heard a lot of people talk about different percentages and stuff, but let's say you put $15,000 into a new roof. Are you going to get that double back in the value of the home? Is there a formula of some sort that actually works?
I don't think there's an exact formula. I kind of look at it about 50% to 60% you'll get back. So that's why it's hard to recommend the big items. Obviously, a roof, if your roof is leaking, that's a major deal. You got to get fixed.
Sure.
But just because you put a $15,000 roof on does not mean buyers are going to pay you $15,000 more. Sometimes maybe it will, but, typically I always kind of look at it in that 50-60%, range.
So there really is no set formula in regard to that.
No.
Okay, so let's say the main things are good. The roof, the siding, the windows, the furnace, all that other stuff. All that good stuff. What are some of the other things that they can do to make sure that their house is where it should be price-wise?
Lights, outlets, light switches, they go out. And if you got 2 light switches that run your dining room, one of them quit working and the other one works, you just use the other one. Mm-hmm. You just kind of get used to it. Fixing things like that. Light fixtures go out. If it's a room you don't use all that often, you just deal with it. Mm-hmm. If you want to list a property, That's a good thing to have all those things fixed. Your outlets, especially, they go out. We plug a lot of stuff in outlets nowadays. Everything's electronic, TVs, tablets, charging your cell phones, video game consoles. There's so many things that get plugged in every day. Outlets wear out. It's just going to happen. So that's one thing people notice a lot too is, how many outlets are in a room. And in a home inspection, they will test all the outlets to let you know if they're working or not.
And if they aren't working, that's a problem.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And it's not a big thing, but, as the little things add up, it can make a significant difference.
Well, yeah, I can understand that. If people walk into a room and they hit the light switch and nothing happens, they're going to go, oh, that's not good.
Yep.
So, and you're right, those little things. And, I know you've also, flooring can make a big difference, too.
Yep, and obviously that's a big wear and tear item. You're on it every single day. You're walking on it, sliding things on it, and especially keeping just common, regular cleaning helps a lot with flooring. They'll tell you that when you buy the new LVP flooring and nice flooring, they say you got to keep it clean. Sweep it daily is what they recommend. Just to, we Trek sand in this time of year especially.
Sure.
That's really hard on it. So it's just doing things like that will help keep it because it's not cheap. LVP flooring is, it's not cheap to buy. It's kind of simple to put in, but that can be a big cost if you got to replace a room. Mm-hmm. So keep a simple sweep every day can help maintain that as well because having a nice floor is going to make a big difference in buyers' minds.
It does make a big difference. And, one thing you had on the list here that I think a lot of people overlook is the duct cleaning. My wife and I keep talking, we need to have that done, and we haven't had it done yet. They may find Jimmy Hoffa in my ducts. I don't know, what could be in there, but it can make a big difference, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, you'd be amazed what comes out of there when they're done, and you probably don't want to know.
I probably don't. I can imagine it's got to be pretty impressive.
And I guarantee you, a lot of listeners out there are thinking about they see registers in their own house that get a little dusty, and
Sure.
it's something you just leave because it's not at your eye level. You don't really have to deal with it. But if you think you can see it on the register now, what your ducts look like, and your air is blowing pretty much all year, central air or furnace, and it just continuously blows through your house.
It has to make a big difference in regard to the air quality in your home. It really has to.
Yeah, I don't know any numbers on it, but I would assume it's significant. I know people with allergies are pretty religious about getting it cleaned every year. And they'll also clean your dryer vents too, which is a good thing to do.
That's an important thing too, because that can be a fire hazard if you don't.
Yep.
So, very smart. Now, what about outside the home? We're getting into that time of the year now where, I noticed yesterday that my irises are starting to come up, the daffodils are starting to come up. What about outside, especially now with spring coming?
Oh yeah, spring is in the air. So, obviously if you have a green thumb, it helps. The more you can manicure your yard and have flowers and a garden, and people are impressed with that. But there's simple things make a big difference too. Just the general maintaining your yard, picking up sticks. Everybody's going to have sticks to pick up.
Right.
And finish, leaves blow in over winter. Even if you did leaves in fall, there's going to be leaves there now. Sure. So those are good things just to, let your yard look more manicured. And it helps with bugs and rodents as well, keeping that stuff clear. A lot of buyers, if you see long grass, people that don't mow their lawn or it comes close to the house, it's just kind of something that's in their mind. Ticks have been pretty bad the last couple of years, so it's just good to keep that stuff manicured. Decks are a big thing. Nothing's cheap anymore, especially wood. If you go to get a quote today on replacing a deck compared to like 6 years ago, it's probably double or triple what it used to cost. So maintaining that can save you a lot of money.
Really changed.
And it's not a job people like. It's kind of time consuming and, laborious because you got to pressure wash it to get all the paint flakes off, or sand, or both, and then paint. And painting the deck isn't, as hard as, you got to do the railing and the spindles. It just takes some time, but it helps keep it alive so you don't have to replace it because it can be quite costly.
That makes sense. And, especially if you've got the PVC ones. They can get dirty. Just keeping them clean can make a big difference too.
Yep. Mildew and mold will still grow on them. So a good pressure wash even on the side of your house, that will help keep that off. And it just helps, buyers value it more when it looks clean.
It's that curb appeal thing.
It is. It makes a big difference. That first impression is the most important, in my mind.
And like they say, you only got one chance to make a first impression.
Yep, exactly. And odds are, if the outside doesn't look maintained at all, that the inside is going to be immaculate. So it just kind of goes hand in hand. People have more confidence in what they're buying if they're impressed.
And they're going to have a negative view walking in the door if it doesn't look good from the outside.
Yep, exactly. They want everyone to be impressed when they come over to visit their house. So
And that's a lot to overcome if you don't.
it is.
Now, you've got some property you want to talk about here today.
Yep, we still have the Indy City lots there, the new development across from JoJo's there, and they are running a promotion on them now where you get 50% of the lot value back if you buy a lot, build a house, and live in it for a year.
Wow.
They'll give you 50% of the lot value back.
That's a pretty good deal.
It is. That's a pretty big discount. So
What's the average cost, or what are the costs of the lots over there?
well, they run anywhere from like 12, 13,000 up to around 30 for some of those bigger lots up on the end. So, and there's a lot in between. There's a lot in the low 20s, upper teens.
Now, do they all have city water, city sewer, and?
Yep, they're all at the curb or at the lot line. So your natural gas, water, sewer, electric, fiber optic internet, that's all right at the lot line.
Just like being in town.
It is.
Not bad. And there's a home also that you've got listed. This is a beautiful place.
Yep, it's on Indy Boulevard, right by the school there. We've reduced it down to $375, built in 2019. It's a ranch, 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a 3-car attached garage.
2,400 square feet. That's a big house.
It is. And with 3 bathrooms, that's kind of what everybody wants. You got a bathroom downstairs, a master bath, and then your community bath on the main floor for everyone else to use. You got a walk-in closet, and the walk-in closet with the master bath and the laundry are all in the area of the master bedroom. So you have everything right there with pocket doors, which are nice. So you don't have doors swinging every which way. Those are kind of making a comeback, and they are pretty convenient, I have to admit.
I don't think, I kind of like them. I really do. You know, and seeing them make a comeback, that's not a bad deal either.
It's not. You'd be amazed how many people notice that in new houses nowadays if there's pocket doors.
I believe that. And it looks like it has an amazing unfinished basement that you could really, or it looks like partially finished.
It is. It's mostly finished. You got to put a ceiling on there yet, but it's got car siding on the walls and everything. So there is in-floor heat in the basement downstairs, in-floor heat in the garage. That third full bathroom is in the basement. So if you wanted to add a couple bedrooms, you can, or if you want to leave it a big family room with a walkout basement, you can. It's got a nice deck off the dining room as well with southern exposure. You'll catch sun pretty much all day.
Now, if people want to look at that property and tour it, what's the best way they can do that, Josh?
My cell phone is the best way to get a hold of me. You can call or text 715-533-4114.
That's a beautiful property.
It is.
We'll have that up on our Facebook page, so make sure you go check it out. If you're listening, you can see the entire interview with Josh on our Facebook page, WHTL.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, no problem, Josh. Always good to see you. Who's up next week, do you know?
Jacob.
All right. The heavy hitters, you and Jacob.
Yep, we switched. He's got an auction working today, so we switch Wednesdays here.
Go check that out, too. I tell you, if you're looking to list a property or buy a property or auction a property, or if you have a big auction you want to have, nobody better than the folks at Hanson Real Estate Group. Check out their website, too, hregroup.com. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Mark.
WHTL. Join us this spring from Local Diamond.